Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another ACREW Insights. And this one is quite a special one. To be very honest, this is one that we've been looking very much forward to, haven't we, Charlotte?
Yes, very much so. It's a little bit different to, I suppose, our normal cybersecurity events.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see. I see like a lot of people already in the room. Can you pop us a quick message in the chat where you are? Just curious to see where we got people from, because like we're from all over the world. I'm in Mallorca. Where are you, Charlotte?
I'm in Toulouse.
Toulouse, Mike.
I'm in the southwest of England in the UK.
And Cameron.
I'm in London.
London. And Paul, where are you?
I'm in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
See, we're from all over the world. And we see, oh, Norma, oh, lovely Norma. So good to see you. And then we've got Chris from the Isle of Man. We've got Bulgaria. Oh my God, other people are just popping all the information. And I think this is cool and this is a good start, because we, for today, have joined forces with CS Platinum and the International Yacht Brokers Association, together with Darktrace, because this is a big topic, cybersecurity, and we want to provide you with a bit of a different perspective, and we've done quite a few sessions and we tried to do this one different. It's going to be so different. It's going to be, I mean, this is going to get an Oscar. This recording is going to get an Oscar. You're going to be introduced to some characters today. And the fun part is, part of cybersecurity is you, and all of you sharing where you're from. This is exactly what we wanted to see, the vulnerability of the information sharing that we have all around us.
Don't worry.
Exactly. It's something that's around us, something we can't ignore. It's something that's with us every day. And cybersecurity is a basic life skill at the moment. And today, we're going to show you through a series of videos how a cyber criminal can quite easily manipulate a situation. We called it under the radar. And because it's not easily seen. And but before we start, I want to introduce our key players of today. So we've got with me my co-host, Charlotte Riley. Welcome, Charlotte.
Thank you, Arno. Yeah, so quick introduction, I suppose, about me. I'm Charlotte Riley. I'm the Chief Technical Officer of CSS Platinum. I look after all of our technical services. I look after our clients, our product development, and generally go about keeping our clients safe, whichever industry they belong to.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlotte. And with us as well, Mr. Paul Flannery from the IYBA. Paul, well, you just went to a yacht show. We're all very jealous. How are you?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. I'm Paul Flannery. I'm Executive Director of the International Yacht Brokers Association. We're based here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 1,600 members worldwide. The majority of our membership is here in the United States, but we've enjoyed great inroads into the European marketplace over the last couple of years. The purpose of IYBA is to promote professionalism and cooperation in the yacht sales industry. We do so through education, networking, and the removal of barriers to commerce. Education is critically important to us. As you guys know, Mike and Charlotte have helped me with a couple of seminars and webinars that we've done in the past, and I'm really happy to be able to contribute to this event today.
And who are you playing today, Mr. Flannery?
Oh, I'm playing Mr. Flannery, but I think there's a guy who looks a little bit like me who may show up on screen. You'll know when you see him.
We'll know when we see him. And Cameron, welcome as well. Cameron Spence from Darktrace, welcome to us. Can you give us a short introduction? You have to unmute yourself here, Cameron.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. That's the classic, I think, 2020 speaking on mute. But yeah, I'm the representative from Darktrace. And I suppose what you need to know about Darktrace is we essentially pioneered the approach of using artificial intelligence for cybersecurity. And that's ultimately where my knowledge base lies. And Darktrace is a company that's grown massively in the last 5 or 6 years. We've got over 5,000 customers using the technology, which we are helping to keep safe.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that introduction. And last but certainly not least, Mike Willis. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Arno. Hi, Mike Willis here. I'm one of the co-founders at CSS Platinum. I'm the Chief Data Officer, which means alongside Charlotte, I do a lot of the work on the policy side in terms of making sure that we are helping to keep everyone safe, but also providing the thought leadership to the super yacht industry as well. And I may or may not be making a cameo appearance in this as we go through.
We'll see. We'll see. Again, a lot of people from everywhere. I've seen the UK, I've seen Europe, I've seen the US. I mean, there's so many people. And you made a great comment just earlier, Norma. So good to see so many professionals here for this webinar. That means that it's important. Thank you for noticing. Well, what are we doing today, Charlotte?
So we very specifically wanted to show people what a cyber attack actually looks like. I think we see it in the news all the time. You know, as this huge cyber attack has happened, millions lost, fines, this, that, and the other. But I don't think it's actually clear the scope, the breadth, and everything that happens really in that attack and from the cyber criminals' point of view. And although a cyber attack can affect any industry, we wanted to tailor it and make it apparent how it could affect the yacht industry in particular. So we're hoping it's of interest, and we, as we move through, we'd like to provide some hints and tips on how you can keep yourself safe.
Yeah, because that's what we're doing today. We're basically going to show you some videos to really guide you through one of those attacks. We're going to give you tips and hints. We're going to end up with the panel together with Paul, Mike, and Cameron. But any questions in the meantime, please just get that chat going and ask any questions, because my first question is like, it's nice to talk about cybersecurity, and I know I've been ignorant for a while, but like the question is this really happening, Charlotte? Is this something that's real, or is it something that, like, let's say the Millennium Bug, something that never happens?
Right. Well, so we get asked that all of the time by clients, industry members, everybody, and unfortunately, the response is yes. Particularly for our yacht clients, people don't talk about it. So it's if an incident happens, the first thing people do is go into damage control mode. So they don't talk about it, they don't advertise it. A few people you've noticed maybe recently in the news have stuck their hands up and talked about what has happened to help their peers, to help their community. But in the main, it's happening, but people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to say they've lost a bunch of money or lost client data. So yes, it's happening, and you need to be prepared, properly prepared, to make sure it doesn't happen to you.
Well, let's meet our cyber villain. Yeah? And our cyber villain is called Cyber McNasty, and he's basically the arch nemesis of Captain Baba. So and let's see, the first step is let's see how he finds and chooses his target. And guys, you'll recognize this. It's going to be an eye-opener. And guys, let's mute ourselves, the ones in the panel and the presenters, so I can play the first part of Cyber McNasty.
Ah, hello. My name is Cyber McNasty. You don't know me, but in the very near future, I am going to get to know you a whole lot better. Because I'm a hacker, and I make my living through targeting people like you and the yachts that you work on and the businesses that support them. And I'm not alone. There are many people like me watching, waiting, targeting you every minute of every day. Here's the thing, I only need to be lucky once, whereas you need to be lucky every single time. But you're going to learn all about this in the very near future. So, till we meet again, bye-bye.
So that was quite an eye-opener. So, Charlotte, tell me, how many Cyber McNasties are there in the world? And you have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, just getting used to this platform. So really it's an untold amount, because many of them don't get caught. They work in the shadows. It can be anything from organized crime, state-sponsored attacks, to people just taking pot shots. And essentially, as Mr. McNasty says, he only has to be lucky once, and he has an array of targets, especially in this industry. They're sat there in the marina. They're very obvious. that there's quite apparent wealth, and they do present quite an attractive range of targets for would-be hackers to go after.
Good. And so the first step what we're going to look at is that he's going to do a social engineering attack, right? And that's how easy it is to. And just for the people who are like as knowledgeable as I am, what's the definition of the social engineering attack, Charlotte?
It's basically just using any information that can be gleaned on an individual, so personal information, to manipulate somebody, manipulate them into giving you some that little thing that will allow a cyber attack to happen, to allow them to steal some money, to get your credentials. So it's using all that information that's out there in the world on social platforms, social media, to tailor an attack just for you, so you're the person that lets them in the door.
Okay, so have a look how McNasty is going to do his social engineering attack. Next video, we're going to mute ourselves again and watch this, guys. Don't forget to respond on the chat. Any questions, any comments, and not the comments on how amazing Paul looks, Mike looks in this video, but like more about the cyber security. Let's go. Cyber McNasty, social engineering attack.
Today's a nasty day. I've just got back from the marina in Monaco. There's a new yacht sat there, just waiting for me to get to know it a little bit better. And their crew were all around it in their polo shirts with their names emblazoned all over it, which is just so useful. So, let's make some friends with some people, shall we? Right, Instagram. My old friend. Let's see who we can find. I love Instagram. People just love putting pictures of themselves on there and more information than you could possibly imagine. Right, what's out there? Super Yacht CSS Platinum, 13 posts. Oh, look! There you are. In the harbour, marina in Monaco. Some trips around the world. Who's that fella? Can't really tell. Ah. Who's this? Henry Questionable. Hello, Henry. Let's find out a little bit more about you. International traveller, influencer, and party animal. Henry, you sound like the guy I need to get to know. Oh, look, you've put your email address on there. That is very, very useful. Right, Henry? Oh, look, you like a bit of fishing. Well, my old China, I think it's about time that you and I got to know each other a little bit better. Right then, Henry, Henners, let's find out whether you've been hacked. Right, let's put your email address into Have I Been Pawned. I love Have I Been Pawned. Just so useful. Right, Henry Questionable at gmail.com. Have you been pawned? Fingers crossed. Oh, look at that. 6 data breaches. Jackpot. Cyto Day. Let's have a look at this. Compromised data, email addresses, and password. Right, let's go there. Cyto Day breach collection. Down we go. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. The first folder has 14,006. Right, well, let's open that then. Cyto Day, open. What have we got? There we go. Let's have a look. Ah, look. There you are, Henry Questionable at gmail.com. Oh, Henry Henners, you don't disappoint. Hang on. What's that? Questionable Henry at superyachtcssplatinum.com and a password. Footbag !1. You clearly like your sports. Well, Henry, you might have more time for sports by the time I finish with you. See you soon. Henry. You truly are a very useful guy to know. Not only did I find your password for your Gmail account in that data breach, but I also found that it was the email password for your Super Yacht CSS Platinum account. And not only that, I found a whole host of other associated personal data that could be very useful to me in the future. Passport number, other emails, other passwords, IP addresses. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into your Superyacht CSS Platinum email account and have a good old look round. Find out what you're up to, where the yacht's going, who else you know, maybe the captain. And then I'm going to make friends with them. See you soon.
That was like, come on, Charlotte, is it really that easy?
I mean, it can be if we aren't diligent about the information we put online, make available to other people, then it really takes an interested party just to piece all of those little snippets of information together to create a full story and potentially target you. So in terms of, some hints and tips as an individual, be diligent about what you put online, be aware of your digital footprint, you use different passwords across different platforms, especially those that are very sensitive, like your bank account, your credit card information, your passport, that sort of thing. Make sure your privacy settings are appropriate on social media. Just be aware of what's going on and the risks that you're presenting to yourself.
Right, and that's just so from the crew perspective. But if I'm an employer, captain, management company, what can I do?
If we think about it from the yacht itself, there's a safety, security, and data issue there. From the rest of the community, we're definitely talking about data, client information, invoices. So generally, you need to make sure your employees are trained, whether they be crew or onshore employees working in an office. They need to be cyber aware, and that needs to be regular, and it needs to be in line with the risk that's prevalent at the moment. And you might want to understand who your employees are. Do they internally pose a risk? Do you know what their backgrounds are? What their social media activity is like and digital footprint? So it's just generally about understanding where you are vulnerable.
Got it. So, and this is that's also why we're working together, right? Because we want to make the industry aware of what is happening, and with all the new regulations that are in place in the IMO, I think it's becoming more and more important. But I also believe that we're looking at the human factor at the moment, and to understand where we're vulnerable as a human being, and what is he going to do next? Do you think, Charlotte? What's the next phase of what we're watching? What is he up to?
I think he's got all this information. Now he has a way in. He has a target. He has a way in. And I think he's going to go after some money. At the end of the day, that's what cyber criminals want. They use cyber attacks to get their ill-gotten gains the same way any other criminal does.
Good. Well, shall we have a look on what the next phase is of Cyber McNasty? And Mike just pointed out we might have a little bit of a delay. I hope it's on. I checked on the other side. We should be fine. Hopefully it is. Don't forget that we're recording this whole session, so it will be available online afterwards. If we feel that anything of the video is missed, we'll just edit in the full video. So even if you look back later, it will be fine. Just for the audience to be sure that you don't miss out on anything. Mr. Flannery, is this your moment of glory is coming up, right?
Oh, if you say so.
If you say so. Do we need to introduce you? We need to make sure that the audience understands that it's not really you. It's it's your alter ego, the bad side of you.
Well, let's just say I'm one of many children in my family, and there bears quite a resemblance amongst several of us. Oh no, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to interrupt with just a quick question, because
yes, of course.
While I'm a panelist here and I'm really honored to be here, I'm also not a cybersecurity expert. I'm a consumer. I'm a regular Joe who walks down the street. And while I'm listening to my friend Mr. McNasty, and while I'm listening to Charlotte, the thing that occurs to me is, hey, I don't have time to go on to have I been pawned right now, because as tempted as I am, like the rest of the audience, I'm on here with the camera going. So here's my big question. what do I do? I'm a person that lives in the public. I've got bank accounts, credit card accounts, email addresses. I have, payment accounts for my insurance on my car or my house or my mortgage. I've got all these things. And one of the great things about the 21st century is the convenience of having things paid automatically and the ability to have things done online. I don't have to sit down once every month and write out 15 different checks and go to the post office. And I can do all that stuff online. But I can't remember 73 different passwords.
Well, it's a fair question.
What does one practically do? Mike or Charlotte, what does a person do to keep some level of security in parallel with some level of sanity?
Do you want to take this one back just for a change?
Say that one more time.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, what I would say, Paul, and it's a great question, because do you know what? If you turn around to the average person and said, look, you need to have a different password to every single account that they use, they'll yawn at you and go, you've got to be joking, switch off and say, no, it's fine, I'll be okay. A lot of the time. And I have that problem with my children, trying to get them, teenage boys to do the right thing. So what I would suggest is you should have different passwords, because it means you're minimizing the risk to you. So how do you remember that? Password keepers is a solution that we would recommend use. There's a lot of them on the market. If you can Google it, if you go to a credible commentator within the security or the IT space, they'll tend to tell you what are the good options out there. And then what you tend to use then is one master password, which you can remember, and then all other passwords can be kept within that. When it comes to choosing a password, don't be obvious. Be slightly fun, have a look at the surroundings around you and maybe come up with a phrase or 3 random words or something different, which would not be uniform, that's a clever system and algorithm could potentially work through, or password 123, for instance, which people do because they think it's easy, or QWERTY or something like that the systems machines might be able to break really, really easily. So just try and be random as possible, use numbers, use exclamation marks, and put them in a password keeper, and they're good. Charlotte, would you add anything to that?
I was just going to say, to be practical, think about the things that are really going to cause you damage. So your credit reports, anywhere where your social security number lives, your bank account, that type of thing, and make sure they're adequately protected. And if you do find that you have been in data breach, definitely don't use that password. If you're a high profile person, somewhat a senior person in an organization, a board member, there are ways of doing digital footprints. We have one, we call it Crew Check, specifically for this industry, for looking at background reports of crew, but it really is a digital footprint to show any individual what basically a perpetrator, someone who was trying to socially engineer you, could see from the outside, what they would do to look at your profile, what they would see on the dark web. So that's something to consider.
So
I'm using Secure Safe myself, and maybe is there anyone that you recommend top of mind, Mike? Because I think it's going to have downloads on the Apple Store and Google Play Store from now. Now you have to unmute yourself, Paul, please. Mike, sorry.
I wish I had a referral code now, but that would be a bit off. No, so I personally use Dashlane is the account but there's other ones, Charlotte. There's OnePass, I think. Some VPN providers now start to provide additional functions. And again, a lot of the antivirus providers, Norton, Bitdefender, McAfee, Kaspersky, all of that stuff are starting to.
And I've got the best one. I've got a list that I put in my wallet.
That's it. You tell everyone on it. You'll be mugged on the street before you know.
And there's a Chris Stewart. It's got an interesting question. Is increased biometrics inevitable? Anybody would like to comment on that? I
think yes, as they become more common, as in your technology is supporting it now. So your phones have a fingerprint reader. You could probably do retina scanners now. So I think that would be an obvious way. That there's something I have is an easy way to protect yourself, unless we get Terminator style and people start stealing people's eyeballs. But hopefully that won't happen.
And Chris, I mean, just to add to that, I think it is inevitable. One thing that COVID has brought along is the fact that you can't do face recognition if you've got a mask across half your face. And how many people do you see pulling them down or lifting it up? So, I know on the Apple roadmap at the moment, they're looking at how can you log into your iPhones using, retina and eye recognition to take account for the fact that you have face masks for COVID. So I think it is inevitable. I still think that, there's inherent weakness in it. If you, God forbid, were accosted by somebody who wanted to get into your phone in a mugging or something like that, if you're there, you can still have your phone manipulated or your face manipulated or something like that. And
multi-factor though, you do the password and then you do the biometrics, and that's why it's multi-factor rather than two-factor. You're using different kinds of authentication to gain access, and that way you have the extra protection.
Just to keep the speed up a little bit, because we're also dealing with an audience that have got a attention span of 15 minutes. So let's see what Cyber McNasty is up next. Let's see at the next phase. Alter ego of Paul Flannery coming in play now. So ladies and gentlemen, be prepared. Please mute yourselves, and here we go.
Right then, Henry, it's time to have a good old look around inside your Super Yacht CSS Platinum email account. In we go. Right. Microsoft 365 login. Sign in. Put in your email address. And then your password. Footbag with a capital F, ! 1. Oh, Henry, thank you. You haven't put in place two-factor authentication. Right, here we are. Busy inbox. Right, who can we see? Scroll down. Look, Captain Bubba. Surely not. Yes, Captain Bubba, you're the captain of CSS Platinum Super Yacht. This is my inn. I smell a payday. Right, how to target you? I think it's time to go fishing. Email phishing. I'm going to spend a little bit of time putting together a really credible email. He's a busy guy. I'm pretty sure he's going to fall for it. So, Captain Bubba, very soon, you and I are going to get to know each other a whole lot better. See you soon.
All right, I got me some Wi-Fi right here, and you don't even have to do that sign-in thing. Very cool. All right, let me check them emails real quick. Oh, Lee, I got so much stuff to do trying to get ready for this trip tomorrow. Boss wants to travel. I got to get fuel. What the heck? Change my password. Oh, Lord. Let me change it. All right. New password. Mr. Wonderful. I'll just make it Mr. Wonderful 2 this time. I'll make it easy. That way I won't forget. All right. And now, got that done. Got that done. And fueling instructions. Let me tell the management company to go ahead and order fuel. Please order fuel for the boat. Departing tomorrow. Boss won't make up his mind where. Need full tanks. Send that. Alright, I gotta get out here to the boat show. Boss wants a new boat. Try to get with Daisy later on. Alrighty, busy.
It worked. Captain Bubba. I knew you'd fall for it. So, thanks to you, I'm now in your email account. And I've had a good look around for an opportunity that we can work on together. And lo and behold, the yacht's being refueled. And the yacht management company has emailed you telling you that they're expecting the invoice for it. So, here's what's going to happen. When the fueling company sends the invoice to you, I'm going to be waiting. And you won't even know. And I'm going to take that email and I'm going to change the bank account details to yours truly. and then I'll send it to the yacht management company, and they're gonna pay me. I told you there was a payday coming. Oh, and do you know what? You're just a really useful guy, Captain Bubs. So then I think you're worth spending a little bit more time with. And I'm going to try and work out what else we can do together. Perhaps you can help me get aboard the network of CSS Platinum. We shall see. See you soon.
All right. Darn, there's a bunch of boats in that show. I hope that broker done sent that stuff off. Let me just check my emails real quick before I head on home. Daisy is waiting for me last night in town, boy. It's going to be a good one. Wonder why I ain't got no numbers on my email. Wonder why I ain't got no emails. Well, the heck with it. I'm going to head on home. I got things to do. See ya. Hello? Hello? What the hell's wrong with this thing? It's going crazy on me. Hello? Yeah, this Cap Bubba. Fuel? Well, yeah, you filled it up. What do you mean you ain't been paid? You ain't been paid for the fuel? I told the management company yesterday, pay you for the fuel. I sent them an email. Yeah, you're going to have to check with them. Heck, I'm already on my way. Yeah? No, they'll pay you. Don't you worry about a thing. All right, see ya. Bye. I'm on my way. I ain't got nothing to worry about. See ya.
There's a lot of damage that has been inflicted, right, Charlotte? And especially by quite little efforts. What could we have done differently?
So if we think about what happened there, imagine that was an Office 365 account where there wasn't multi-factor or two-factor authentication on the account. So he's gotten the password, and straight from the internet, he's logged in. He takes over that account. He puts some rules on there, so no more emails go to that account. You don't get alerted to anything nefarious going on. You go about your day, and in the meantime, he's seen everything that's going on. He's identified a target, as in this fueling invoice, and very easily sent that out the door and asked for it to be paid. So that's one thing. Password policy, multi-factor authentication, coming back to training. So those things you can do. Those are things you can do to protect yourself in quite a simple manner. And the other thing you want to lean on is a way of identifying these types of things happening. That's a little bit more complicated, and a way to respond to them. And that's where we start to lean on technology to do the things that we can't. At the end of the day, we're not just dealing with attackers who are doing all of this manually. They have programs. They have AI themselves that can do this on many targets across the internet. So we want to be able to respond in kind. So that's where we move on to the next video, I think, or for you to introduce it.
Okay, because like we're basically now going to a more solution based, right? We're going to look at like the whole social engineering and more like a solution, correct?
Yeah, so artificial intelligence technology, we thought it'd be interesting. That's another term that's batted around, cyber attacks, artificial intelligence. What is that? How does it work? How does it help us with this problem? How does it provide a solution? So we wanted to showcase our AI platform powered by Darktrace, which is an AI technology. Cameron will tell us more about it, but born out of a group of mathematicians from Cambridge University and security experts at GCHQ, which is you can compare it to the NSA in the US. So it's I think it'd be quite good for us to look at it. And this particular element of it, we're going to look at two parts. Is going to protect the mail infrastructure and identify what happens normally between in a mail environment, how people talk to each other, identify styles, a pattern of life, and look at something bad going on and stop it, essentially, in very simple terms. So I'm sure Cameron will tell us more.
Yeah. It's quite technical, this small video, but it's very interesting. Have a look. You'll be like, it's quite scary. You'll be surprised on what you see there. And Cameron, maybe you would like to comment a little bit together with Charlotte on it afterwards, but it's like, it's crazy. So I'll mute myself again and play this one. And yeah. And Ellison says, now I understand why two-factor authentication is important. Well, that's good. We convinced one person at least today.
It's worth the extra code.
It's worth the code. Here we go.
Anti-unit email gives us full visibility of everything that's happening within the vessel's email inboxes. We can see, alongside a number of key metrics, the 50 most at-risk email inboxes on the vessel. Crucially, we can see that Angela Darling, the ship's captain, is the most at risk. On the right-hand side, we can see all of the emails that Anti-Unit has taken action on, and we can click into them further to find out why. This is particularly interesting in the case of Ben Smith. Ben and Angela are in constant contact, and he is a known correspondent. However, Anti-Unit email has given this a 96% threat score and held the email back from Angela's inbox because it believes there to be an account hijack, a behavioral anomaly, and a suspicious link. What Anti-Unit email has seen is that Ben has asked Angela to input her sign-in details into this Microsoft link. The reason Anti-Unit has taken action here is because in the wider relationship with Ben and Angela, he has never asked her to input her sign-in details into any link before. So this is an example of a very sophisticated phishing attack, which Anti-Unit email has spotted and taken action on because we have spotted the unusual behavior coming from Ben's email inbox. Anti-Unit email works by looking at the wider relationship and understanding the context. Does this email belong in the email inbox?
Does this email belong in the email inbox? That sentence, Cameron, that scared the living out of me, to be honest. So
it's quite fascinating that part of the solution, because it doesn't just look, I suppose, for where the emails come from, who it's going to. It actually looks at the style of writing. So where it spotted the phishing attack, because that's never happened before, and they'd never been asked to put those credentials in. But also, when McNasty wrote that email to the management company, it would have spotted that that's not the language that usually happens, that's usually used, that they've never asked for invoice changes before, and would have prevented that from being delivered, and therefore stopped the 100K being paid by the management company.
Wow. So how long did it take to develop this, Cameron?
I mean, the core algorithms that Darktrace uses have been in the works for 8-9 years. Wow. And it's essentially an extension of that technology that's branched out into the Anti-Unit email console. And the mathematicians that use it are incredibly intelligent. There's something like 30 PhDs at Darktrace whose entire life essentially revolves around creating these algorithms that understand what's normal within a vessel's infrastructure, and then by understanding the normal, we can then detect the unusual behavior, and that's how we detect the threats.
Great. But they don't get great at Christmas parties, probably.
Yeah. No, well, that's the thing, right? But this is only part one. We saw how he, through social engineering, McNasty stole money, right? And that, I guess his next move is to get into the network. And so, Charlotte, what would he be targeting in this next phase of his attack?
This is where things get more complicated, because a lot of cyber attacks that happen, they're undetected. You've got a perpetrator in your network, in your systems. You have no idea. They're just looking, watching, waiting, and then you'll know when they decide that they want you to know, when they want something from you. So they could be going after just data theft, stealing your owner's data. Remember, we've got connectivity to probably home premises, business premises. They could be looking to infect the systems with ransomware, to say, unless you pay me, I will not let you use these systems. Yeah. Worse, they could be into the yacht operational systems. That's the more extreme side of things, but potentially say, you cannot move this vessel unless you pay me. These are scenario based, but it could happen. Hard to detect, hard to respond to. And that's why we use UI AI to understand what's going on and autonomously respond. So, the AI stops it happening without an internet connection. until you can be at the right place with the right expertise to deal with the situation.
Because vessels, and Paul, I think you can help me there, are more and more computerized. So it means that they are more and more at risk. What do you think, Paul, on that? I mean,
well, that's absolutely true. I mean, throughout all machinery, whether it's boats, airplanes, cars, there's more connectivity every single day. You hear of hacks from the airlines up through the monitoring systems on Rolls-Royce engines. You see, we hear stories of people spoofing GPS signals and getting into the boat and having the boat running on its autopilot via the GPS, but they spoof the GPS signal, so the boat goes off course and it goes to someplace that the captain wasn't intending it to go, to where it's more vulnerable. So through today's technology, there's so much more connectivity. I don't know any of the depth of this stuff like our other three panelists do, Ono, but it just, the more you think about it, the more connectivity you realize there is, which each and every one of those points of connectivity, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they offer liabilities, vulnerabilities, and places that McNasty can just roll in the mud and go, run roughshod over top of Bubba and his ilk.
Exactly. Let's have a look what he's up to now, because I think we're going back to Cyber McNasty. I think he is about to infiltrate the network. So we're going to mute ourselves again, and we're going to see what McNasty is up in his last part of his performance.
I'm back, and I've just had $100,000 payday. Super Yacht CSS Platinum, you appear to be the gift that keeps on giving. And so, I'm going to take a little bit of time away from my other targets and spend a bit more time with you. I want us to go to the next level. I am going to get myself onto your network so I can see who's coming aboard and who's joining. And then I'll be able to make friends with them too. The question is how to do it. Well, Captain Bubba is understandably a little bit sensitive to emails at the moment, so I need someone else. Henry, it's time for you and I to spend some more quality time together. So I'm going to be sending you a phishing email. You like fishing, and it's going to be the biggest fish you catch all year. Because when you click on that link, which I know you will, I'm going to be on the network. And I'm going to be watching. So until then, bye-bye. I'm in. Henry, headers. You never disappoint. So, Super Yacht CSS Platinum, I am now sat on your network, and that means that I can see anybody that joins. I can connect to their devices and make friends with them. And what's really exciting is that I know that it won't be long until the owner comes aboard and some of his friends or guests, and I'll be able to make friends with them too. So, as I've already said, you really are the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Captain Bubba. Thank you, Super Yacht CSS Platinum. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That were the famous last word of Cyber McNasty. Huh? It is, do you really, so can also AI also help us defend us from this attack, Charlotte? Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So McNasty had a few options here. We've highlighted phishing. That was one way because he already had, Henry on the hook. Sorry for the pun. but it could have broken in through the Wi-Fi in the marina. It could have exploited a vulnerability in one of the systems that is internet facing, if they weren't secured properly, if the firewall isn't configured properly. Many options to get into the networks. He just chose an easy route. So as I said, how would you know? How can you protect all of those things adequately so you can respond in real time? And this is what the immune system does. It watches, it looks for anomalies, and then again, it responds autonomously and protects the systems from. So say if there was a ransomware attack that was born in that phishing email, and then it would have replicated to every single system on board, it would have identified it and stopped it and alerted you and said, this is happening. So you could then deal with it at a later time, but it would have stopped all of the infection happening.
So I think we got a demo of that as well, right? How that works within the web environment. Cameron, do you mind giving is there anything as an introduction that's necessary for the audience to understand?
The demo is relatively high level. I think the crucial thing is just understanding how the platform can watch each step of the attack, of what the attacker is trying to do. And because it's all centered around understanding what is normal, we can then detect the abnormalities, and we do that at each different step of the cyber attack.
Can I add on just that?
Yes, please.
What's really clever about this platform is it happens in the background. So, people operating, working on vessels, supporting vessels in the industry, have got 101 things to do. And actually they can go about the job doing this, feeling safe and secure in the knowledge that, the artificial intelligence platform's got your back. Because we're infallible as human beings. We need to sleep, we need to eat, we make mistakes, we switch off, we check our phones. This system doesn't blink at all. It's on 24/7, always watching, always protecting. And that's a real peace of mind here.
You don't need to be some technical expert to absorb it. It's going to tell you in plain English, this is happening, we've stopped it, and then you can manage the situation after the fact.
And is that and I know people are going to ask this, does that imply a new risk to us, that we got an AI system that basically looks into our world?
We have been asked this, Cameron. I might let you answer it.
Does the platform provide risk as Darktrace risk for us? Do you mean? Well,
not Darktrace as you guys, because 50 mathematicians, PhDs, that sounds very interesting. But is that the next step? So then we got AI ruling our world.
So,
I don't think it will ever fully take over. I think that the purpose of AI, at least in the Darktrace case, is to do the hard work that the humans don't necessarily have time to do. So you can focus on your other core responsibilities. The artificial intelligence is there to do the heavy lifting. It's not there to essentially, well, it is there in certain areas to replace what a human would need to do, but it's there to assist you. It's not there to.
It's limited, I think, in the use cases that it works on. It works on algorithms that are looking for particular drivers. So I don't think it's going to go off and start impersonating you as a human and body snatching and such. So.
I think, Onno, your point is it going to look at somebody's data? And so it doesn't look at the data, it looks at the event, the activity. So it's what it does. It's not the information that it contains. So I think that's the point you were getting at.
Yeah,
I think that's the point I'm getting at. We got a nice question from Kyle. So he's asking, and then we go into the demo. How long does the system take to learn everyone's normal behavior?
It's a really good question. We can probably start giving results within 10 days. So traditionally, when people trial the Darktrace platform through what we call our proof of value, is we would leave it for 7 to 10 days to learn. And that's when it starts getting a really good understanding. It probably reaches full maturity, maybe 2 months or so, depending on how many sort of different things happen within the pattern of life, say, of the vessel within a period of time. But traditionally, you get really accurate results within the first 10 days. And then
you're going to see a level of protection, I'd say, in 10 days, over a week. And it's really, compared to any other technology, plug and play, essentially.
Yeah.
Good. We're going to look at it. Ladies and gentlemen watching us, this is also the last video. Afterwards, we're going to go into the panel. Any questions, put them in the chat. We don't mind being challenged. So anything that you think, want to know, feel, have an opinion about, this is the moment to add them to the chat, and we'll answer them afterwards, and we'll have a little roundtable discussion before we end the session. I'm going to mute myself again. Everybody please do as well. And then we're going to look at the demo for Darktrace.
I'll now show you the Enterprise Immune System and the Cyber AI Analyst. The Enterprise Immune System gives us full visibility of everything that's happening within the vessel, or in this case, fleet of vessels, networks. Each of these cubes represents a vessel, and the more light coming from the vessel means the higher level of anomalies that we have spotted. The Cyber AI Analyst automatically investigates these anomalies and will tell you everything that's happened. We can click into an incident and see what is happening, in this case, in a ransomware attack. Within a ransomware attack, the ransomware tries to spread across all of the devices. So what the Cyber AI Analyst is able to do is show us who is patient 0, what file is being used for the ransomware to transport across the other devices, and finally, how is the ransomware communicating with the attacker? And we can see that the ransomware is connecting to this website to await instructions from the attacker. The way that Darktrace has detected this is we have never seen someone within the vessel's network connect to this domain before. Because we understand the normal pattern of life, we can spot the abnormality to detect the threat. Alongside this, we can also see all of the other devices that are infected, and the Cyber AI Analyst will recommend a course of action for you to take.
Okay, so what have we seen today? So today we've seen an escalation of a cyber attack using different methods: social engineering, email hijack, diversion of funds. I know we see that a lot in the industry. Then we moved on to the worst case scenario where a hacker having access to the owner data, and for everybody, it doesn't matter what senior or what junior level you are, you can be a target. That's what I've learned from Mike and Charlotte and Cameron. It's really happening. So under the radar, I think we tried to do something different with the videos. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know there's a few questions out there. Shall we go through them? Mike, Cameron, Paul, you ready for those?
You're backing up.
Average crew turnover, Paul. What do you feel about that? Like, we got high crew turnover, obviously, but like, how does that affect, do you think, the security of the vessel in general? And then we'll move to cybersecurity with Charlotte and Mike.
I think the points about the Darktrace platform, Onno, and the frequency of changeover. So I think it's maybe a question to Cameron of how quickly will it take up new employees or new starters?
I mean, it's really simple. You would essentially just tell the system there's a new employee, and it would just add that to the list of employees it recognizes. The tool, it's designed to really take, if it does take an action, it's a really surgical action. So it doesn't just lock people out randomly unless something really significant is happening. It's a very proportionate response, and you can let it know certain things if you need to. So with high turnover, it wouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do think that normal also relates to the real crew turnover, because the next question is what the risk from social media. I think it's like when you constantly have new crew on your vessels, and you constantly want to make sure that they're up to speed and that they know what they need to do and not to do. I think that's part of the answer I would like to get as well, apart from how quickly crew turnover can be fixed by the platform.
We have I didn't want to interrupt too much, Paul, but we do have a use case where we are managing around 1,000 crew for a maritime operation, a gas and oil company. We monitor their crew as in with our crew check product, where we monitor first we did initial background investigation, which looked at whether they have any criminal leanings or are operating on the dark web. We look at their social media footprint, digital footprint, and we basically then go on to monitor that and onboard new crew and offboard them as they go. And we also do training, and again, we have a digital platform where new people just go through it. But Paul, if you want to go and talk about what that looks like more in the yacht space, that'd be great.
Well, the thing that's occurring to me at this moment, Charlotte, is that we're no longer pirates. We're no longer cowboys. We're no longer, the marine industry for the longest time has been this quaint little cottage industry. And up until just a few years ago, if you think about the amount of time that we've been sailing around the world in boats versus the amount of time that we've had very wealthy individuals wanting to have their privacy and their security and their pleasure time on board boats, and expecting a very, very high level of service, and now expecting also a very high level of security in a very, very short period of time. And we in the industry have had to work very hard to rise to a level of professionalism. Even when I started in the business working on boats in the late 1970s and 1980s, we were kind of pirates. It was a place to go escape real life, and you had a ton of fun. You traveled around. You never wore shoes. Pants. I don't have any of those. If I need those, I get a different job and go someplace where the sun is shining. It's a different world today. We have very sophisticated pieces of equipment. We travel to very remote places. We have people like Cyber McNasty hiding behind every piling, every bush, every piece of coral, every piece of sand. And we need to realize that as an industry, and we need to conduct ourselves accordingly. I don't know that specifically answers your question, Charlotte, but it's just the thing that is really resonating in my mind right now about where we have been in this industry and where we need to be today and where we're going. You look at the hotel industry, which has provided a very high level of service ahead of us.
Yeah, and that's something to model ourselves on. And crew turnover is worrying. It does happen seasonally. You do have people picking them up, dropping off, and actually, by the nature of what they do, they can be transient. If you did a criminal background check, it might not even turn up anything because they've not been to the home country for such a long time. So you need something above and beyond that to understand who you're employing and what risk they pose to you as an organization and to your clients.
And I would add to that, do you know what? Yes, it would be busy. Yes, it could be a nightmare, but what's the alternative? To not do that? It's better that you know that there's something there. And again, this just becomes a system and process that over time, businesses, vessels, etc., the industry just needs to adopt, because, if we're not protecting against this, there are cyber criminals on the other side that will be looking to exploit this. So it's this cat and mouse game, it's this poacher gamekeeper game that this as long as time, and it's one of those things that just needs to evolve. And Darktrace is one of those ways with that, or crew check in terms of background checking, that helps to narrow down and provide that protection.
Well, it's our responsibility today. It's not okay just to know how to drive a boat, just to know how to make flaming crepe Suzettes. No, it's not okay to just have a minimal skill set. It's a profession, and you need to respond and act accordingly.
I love that. And I'm going to take over now because I'm going to speed it up a little bit. I've got a few more questions. I'm going to ask you guys to answer shortly if possible. Is that okay? Because this is a topic, and we'll do, I think, Mike, we can agree, we'll do another one on Cyber McNasty, right? To do some more scenarios in future webinars and go deeper and deeper. And I hope Captain Bubba will reappear as well. Maybe Captain Bubba, maybe you can then hunt down Cyber McNasty and get your money back. How do you feel about that? That could be a great session.
That sounds like a capital idea.
That sounds like a capital idea. Good. Quick question. I think it's for you, Cameron. Is it totally passive, the system? Does it store data? And if it stores data, who owns the data?
On mute, Cameron, I think.
Thanks. It's a good question. So the Darktrace data is stored on an appliance, which would be on the vessel. So it would never leave the vessel. You own the data as well. So we don't own the data. We just essentially analyze it. And
a metadata level, so you don't actually see what's in the core of anything. It's just at the top slice, which is
exactly right.
Not understandable to a human.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no personal data stored, just to put it in simple language that we all understand.
Exactly. And just real quick, it's not just for the yachts, the vessel. This would go in a company, an organizational network, any place.
Fantastic.
But you own the data.
You own the data. Other question, does it also protect crew devices when they're using the vessel's networks?
Yeah, so it's a good question. There's a couple of these that are sort of along the same lines. So with regards to crews, if it's like a crew member device that's owned by the ship, that could be then incorporated into the Darktrace platform. With things like BYOD devices, I see from Richard's question, and that sort of links with, I think it was Kyle's question with regards to guests coming onto the ship. If it's a personal device and something bad happens to the device, as the vessel or the company, you're not necessarily too concerned about that. What you're concerned about is that malware then getting into your network onto the vessel, and that's
also on using that device to steal data, right? So if that person happens to be, some entertainer or some person who's coming in for the day, starts using their device to steal data from the network, same scenario.
Yeah. Exactly. I think what I'm hearing is it's not about does it protect the devices? No, it's more like does it allow the devices to be used to be a part of a malware attack? I think that's more the question we need to ask ourselves, correct?
Yeah, so essentially what Darktrace would do in terms of, say, a personal device, because you wouldn't have Darktrace installed on a crew member's personal phone, because that'd be like GDPR. It's not the crew's your data. But what Darktrace would do is would stop whenever that device went into the network and made the network do something unusual, try and take data from the network. Darktrace would stop that from happening, so they wouldn't be able to do anything from the network, even if it's coming from their personal device, if that makes sense.
I think the most important question, and it's not the last one, the most important one is the question everybody on the boat asks: does it affect the internet users and bandwidth of the guests?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No, it's the key question that everybody asks, because if it does, it's a no-go, right? Right, Paul? Nothing can interfere with the guest experience.
Absolutely. And if you, for example, there'll be hedge funds who have millions of dollars, millions of pounds that hinge on making a trade in a split second.
Yeah.
Use Darktrace, and it doesn't affect their internet speed at all.
Okay. And there's a big question from Leslie saying, like, how much of a personal digital footprint can you reach? Are there any limitations? How far does it go? Is it just a major change? Does it consider those used across different geographical locations and different cultures? Like a big question. But I think might go for it.
I've got this. Hey, so Leslie, what I'd say here is any piece of data is usable. And don't think that a cyber criminal is going to gather all the data they need from one location. Again, they're building target packs, particularly if they're highly attractive and highly valuable targets like a super yacht. They will gather information from lots of different places, using lots of different techniques, maybe in person, maybe on open source on the internet, maybe going onto the dark web and buying information, listening, breaches, you name it. And they'll fuse that information together. They then have intelligence. And from intelligence, you can start to actively target opportunities. So there are no limits. They will take all the information they can, because do you know what it's like putting together a jigsaw? That one piece just might be the critical piece of the puzzle that unlocks the opportunity that gives the payday. So and a lot of the time it won't be the individual's fault if the data's gone. It could be from third-party companies that you've signed up for enjoyment or fun or buying things. They might have lost your data. So it's not your fault. So any data could be gathered or used if it's out there in open source and unfortunately used against you.
And so that's what we look at as an organization. So we have the same limitations that a hacker would do, essentially. So we use the same tools and methodology to achieve the same goals and present that risk to an organization or an employer.
And looks like sorry, Mike, go for it.
I was just going to say, and I know we're pushed for time. So one of the things I'd love the audience to understand is a cyber attack is not the end state. It's not the end goal. The cyber attack is a tool. It's a metaphoric crowbar or a metaphoric digital rock for a window. A cyber attack enables the criminal to do something. And it might be that they can do something immediately, or it might be that this is part of a multi-step strategy that they're looking to do something a long way down the line. And there are numerous, just like in project management, there are numerous milestones they need to achieve in order to unlock the payday. And the payday could be any number of things, as Charlotte and Cameron and the rest of the team have alluded to. So just understand that it's literally a tool, and it's one of those things that, you know, that they do for the payday. So there's always a reason behind it. The other thing I would say is when you're considering this, think about this in a really simple way. And this is what we try to do at CSS, is to say, look, if you govern the process, if you come up with a plan about how you're going to approach the risks that you face from a data protection or cybersecurity perspective, and you think about them, you document and you rehearse them, one, you're hitting your compliance and regulatory requirements, but two, you have a plan to follow in case something goes wrong and you know what to do, and people know what's expected of them. Next, you need to protect your people, because people are your greatest vulnerability. And if a cyber hacker can't get into the yacht's infrastructure, it will go to the next closest thing. That could be the broker that's selling the yacht. That could be the crew member who's a little bit lackadaisical on social media. Could be the yacht management company, could be the fueling company, could be your lawyer, it could be your accountant. They were very innovative. And again, it's back to Leslie's questions about gathering that detail from many different places. And I'll pull that all together so that they can do it. So understanding people and training them. And the other point I'd say is the technology. If you consider technology in this day and age, we hear about anti-malware, we've got it on our laptops. It's not good enough, because artificial intelligence, criminals will use artificial intelligence bots to target us. They don't sleep. The only way you can fight artificial intelligence is with artificial intelligence. And that's where, you know, that's the way that the industry is evolving. So just a couple of points there just to consider, you know, as we sort of draw this to a close.
Good. I'm going to do quick rounds for some final words, and then we're going to round this up. Cameron, thank you for being here. Anything you would like to add shortly?
I suppose I think the thing with Darktrace in it, and Kyle's question sort of I think highlights this point quite well, is the whole point of the tool is to be designed to take care of it for you. So you won't need additional training. You don't need a member of staff to sit there and watch Darktrace and make sure it's doing everything it should be. Darktrace does it all itself, and you can essentially get on with running what you would traditionally do, but know that you are safe from a cyber attack because of Darktrace there in the background.
Thank you. Paul, Captain Bubba, any famous last words?
I'm just really thrilled to know that Darktrace won't prevent me from doing any multi-billion-dollar hedge fund trades, because that's the next thing for Captain Bubba, I'm sure, and we definitely don't want to get in the way of that. So I think I think it's been particularly informative, and I appreciate y'all inviting me on here, because I think some of my questions come from more of the layman's perspective, and I think that's important for the audience.
Fantastic. My dear co-host Charlotte, what would you like to say?
No, I just, you know, thank you for, I suppose, the opportunity to bring the presentation to you, and I hope we've hit the mark on making this I suppose accessible, understandable, and that there's a little bit more understanding about a cyber attack in general and the mind of the hacker or McNasty.
Yeah, well, as Norma Tree said in the chat, 100% Yacht Crew requirement. That's why we've decided to include this in ACREW Plus, like the solution that you have for longevity on board, and crew check can be part of that. So just ask us, ask Charlotte, ask Mike. We're all here to help you. And we're getting a lot of lovely comments saying how great it was, how fantastic it was. People asking about the ballpark number, how much Darktrace will cost. We're not going into that now, but I'm very sure that we'll send you an email all that have been here with the final link, etc. So that's great. Thank you as well. Mike, you can round this up, please.
Very kind on it. Thank you. Hey, to everyone that's joined us, we're really grateful for your time. We realize how busy people are and how precious time can be, particularly midweek as well. So thank you so much for joining us. We do want to help. We do want to make the industry a safer place. So as Onno has said, if anyone else here would like to speak to us, we're all available to chat with you. And Onno in particular, thank you for acting as the host and helping facilitate this. And same to you, Paul, and to Cameron. And I have to say, because I would want to, Charlotte as well. Thank you very much. So to everyone, really, really grateful, and hopefully we'll speak with you soon.
Yeah.
Well, that is the famous last word. Thank you so much, Mike. Bye-bye, everybody. I'm going to count down 10 seconds because that's your delay, and in 10 seconds, I'm going to cut the broadcast. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Countdown. Bye-bye.